Hello and welcome to Job Hunting and Exam Prep in Discus, South Carolina's virtual library. I'm Linda Heimberger and I welcome you on our tour today. This video will prepare you to help patrons conduct a job search, analyze and save a job description, and connect to needed practice tests, eBooks, and tutorials in Discus that will help them along their way to job-seeking success. To that end, our agenda today includes looking at the user accounts that are involved in our career transitions and LearningExpress library, using the job search tool in career transitions to locate job postings and identify key job requirements, and finally to locate and use related exams, ebooks, and tutorials in the Career Prep Center and Computer Skills Center of LearningExpress library. And you'll also have a worksheet to practice skills that you learned today. So let's get started. You can access career transitions through the Discus platform at scdiscus.org, particularly if your public library uses that as its main access point. Many of the public libraries have their own electronic resources linked from their website, obviously, so some of you will locate it that way. And you will see within career transitions there are several sections that I can kind of point out to you as we begin. The blue section at the top is actually a live job search feature that searches through Indeed.com for your patrons. The second yellow row that you see here includes writing resumes, cover letters, tips and advice for job seekers and applying and interviewing, and an interview simulation piece. So you're welcome to explore these other features, but today we're going to actually focus on the job search itself and how you can help those patrons in looking at the job description and really being able to help lead them to resources that will help them build the necessary skills for the jobs. So notice at the very top, where my red arrow now is, your patron will have the option to sign in or create an account. Obviously, if they already have an account, they can sign in. This is not required for searching for jobs, as you see here, but it is a requirement if your patron is going to track their job postings, save their resumes and cover letters within the database. So it is definitely a piece that can certainly help your patrons. And you as a librarian, either school librarian or public librarian, it would do well for you to also create an account so that you would be able to demo these features to your patrons for them to understand the value of them. And again, it's optional if your patron just wants to search for jobs, but if they do want to track jobs viewed or save resumes, it is necessary. The second resource that we're looking at today is LearningExpress Library, and it is a requirement for the user to register for an account to use LearningExpress Library, and these are the reasons why. They can gain full access to all the features, the exams, the ebooks, modules there, all of the centers, which they're going to have everything from GED to career prep, skill building, computer tutorials, etc. They will be able to save any exams in progress that they start or their completed results. They'll be able to store their score reports and easily revisit any practice tests, tutorials, or ebooks that they've used in a prior session. So you'll see here at the bottom, this is the blue navigation bar you'll see in the software where your patron would create that account. This is what a user will see if they are not logged in before selecting an exam or content. If they, for instance, click on the cosmetology practice exams, they're going to find at the bottom that it asks you to sign in or register to begin. So although they can get a summary of what the exam includes, they will not be able to actually access that content And that is true for tutorials, ebooks, articles, etc. The account is required in the LearningExpress tool. So if they are actually registering as a public library user from a public library website, they will most likely do that with their library card, and this is set up by individual libraries throughout South Carolina, and that's going to be what they would see. If you have a student who is using their school library, their user registration is going to look a little bit different, but in both cases they will have a username, a password, or a library card in which they can access from home, which is really pretty important. The other piece that I want to show you, this is just a screenshot of our scdiscus.org training page. Notice I have gone to our training tab and selected online archives. I wanted to point this out to you because if you are busy maybe helping another patron and you have a patron who is questioning why they need to create that personal account in LearningExpress, we have a really short, about 2-minute video that is available on that online archives page that can help that patron understand why it is important. And sometimes this is good to help those patrons who are a little bit more private in their online world and are really hesitant to create additional accounts. So that might be of use to you there. And then finally, I want to also point out that the usernames and passwords, or the user registrations that we're referring to for the individual databases, such as Career Transitions and LearningExpress Library, are unique to those patrons. If your patron gets this Discus credential login prompt when using a mobile device, this is a shared statewide username and password, and this is something that can be accessed from the Discus office by users in South Carolina, but it is distinguished from those individual user accounts that we just mentioned. And I'm going to go ahead and give you this screen. I'll show it again at the end of our video, but you're certainly welcome to contact the Discus office. There in the center we have the Discus office at statelibrary.sc.gov for the help desk. You're welcome to contact myself, Linda Heimberger, or our Electronic Resources Director, Patricia Sinclair, if you have additional questions or you are interested in perhaps making suggestions about the databases to which we subscribe, or a database that you would like to see us subscribe to. And then if you want to contact me, I'll be glad to address any of your training questions. If you want to set up an additional training, if you have any questions about what we cover today specifically. So let's go live and take a look at our career transitions. Notice I'm already logged in at the top. You see in session there on the top right. So that's just for the timing and convenience, but again, you would want to encourage that, as we mentioned before. So what we're going to look at first is in the blue section here where it says get a new job, search jobs, internships, and more. Notice you can actually help meet your patron where they are in their job search. So if you have maybe recent graduates from high school that are just simply looking for maybe a temp job for the rest of the summer, or maybe an entry-level job in something they're interested in, or an internship, you can actually filter for those. We're going to keep it on all jobs just for this demo today. You will be able to search for any of the keywords in a job title and limit it to a particular area if students or patrons are restricted to perhaps finding jobs within a certain amount of miles from where they live, for instance. So today we're going to look at the example of for like truck drivers or someone who's come in and they're actually pursuing a job that is within that driving range for them. So if we go in here and just type in truck driver, I'm going to use that as an example. One of the things you can certainly do to help your patrons is to kind of help look at other ways to say the same thing. We're going to look at commercial driver and other pieces in this particular instance, so that if the key terms that they're using do not actually retrieve enough of the types of jobs they're looking for. Sometimes it can be the way that they're entering it into the search screen. So let's say that they would like to find a job within a certain amount of mileage from Greer, South Carolina, for instance. Here, let's see if I can get that spaced correctly, and search. Notice at this point, once I create that search, I'm able to actually change that mileage. So if they're able, maybe if they're only can actually have transportation within 10 miles of where they live, or 25 or more, you can also change that filter as well there. And notice we are now at Indeed.com, but we are also still within our software. So you'll see a My Jobs tab here at the top. Once a patron adds a job to this tab, they're going to be able to follow that. They can kind of keep notes about when they've applied or if they've heard back from them, etc. And we'll show you that in a moment. But they will see a listing of jobs here for various jobs that are located within the amount of miles that they've asked for. And you can actually go through and kind of walk. Some of your patrons are going to be very independent. They know exactly what they want and they know exactly what they're looking for. Others may need a little bit more assistance and looking at the job description to see if they really already have the qualifications or if there is something that they need to do to prepare themselves to be better qualified for a particular job. So as you can see here, in the top, the first one that is listed here, delivery driver for Amazon packages, you can kind of go through and show your patrons some of the key pieces, maybe the eligibility requirements and other pieces there. Any of the additional responsibilities and requirements of the job. Notice for this particular one, no CDL is required. So no, they do not require a commercial driver's license for this particular position. And certainly your patrons will be most interested in knowing about the salary. But again, it also helps for you to kind of guide them through. Many of our patrons maybe haven't had to search for a job for quite a while, but now under these new COVID conditions, they're having to actually search after maybe many years, and they may not be as savvy with electronic searching as they need to be. So I'm going to just go back one click there and see if I can actually make this any larger for you to see the whole screen here. If it'll let me adjust this so you can see it. I do want to go back to the original search that we had within the database so that you can see there are some jobs that do actually require different pieces. So if we look at this truck driver here in Duncan, South Carolina, this is something that, again, some of the job requirements, responsibilities will actually require other skills such as language skills, certain level of language skills. We have skill builders within LearningExpress library that will help them with their skills. You can also notice the certificates, licenses, and registrations. Some of your patrons may not be interested in pursuing any of these additional requirements, so that could be something where you could kind of show them to kind of move on to possibly other job descriptions. It may be that one of your patrons says, oh, that's great, I used to have a Class A driver's license and I would like, I'm interested in doing that. Or, others that say, no, I'm not really interested. I just want to kind of go on with the skills that I have. So again, you can meet them where they are with that. But notice here within certificates, they are required to have at least a Class B commercial driver's license. No endorsements here are required. A water truck driver is required to have a tanker endorsement. on a Class B commercial driver's license. So you can kind of see what it's asking for here. Notice here a service truck driver is required to have a tanker and a hazmat endorsement. So when you actually go into those practice exams in LearningExpress Library, your patron will be able to see exactly what they're looking for and what they would need to practice for those exams. So what your patron can do once they're looking at their jobs here, they can actually look in that list, and we were just in this Duncan, South Carolina one. They can go to Add to My Jobs as long as they've already signed into that account. When they click on Add to My Jobs, they're going to find that in the tab at the top of My Jobs here. And whenever they go to log in, maybe they're back home and they're logging in, you help them in the library or you help them virtually in this new environment, and they want to view that position description again, they would simply click on the view here, and this is where they can go in and save information about when they've applied for the job, the last follow-up, whenever they've checked, to see if they've hired yet or they've done any follow-up, or if they've been told, yes, we will call you by Tuesday, July 2nd, or something such as that, then they can actually keep all of that follow-up there and save that so that they know which jobs they've applied for and kind of really what status they're in on each. So I'm going back to the Job Search tab here, and I'm going to next link to the LearningExpress library, which is our other tool that we're looking at today. And I'll try to get that a little more zoomed in for you here. What you're going to notice again with this is I'm already logged into my account. You can tell that because you see Linda here. Your patron will definitely need to actually have that account already set up and logged in order to get to their My Center. Notice the default, when it goes to My Center, you're seeing all of these different tests that I've started, those I've completed, tutorials I've already done, eBooks that I've been using, and computer courses in that status. Obviously, your patron will not have all of these appear until they actually go in to utilize some of the tools. So when they're actually at the home page site of the database, they're going to see all of the career prep centers and the computer skills centers that you see at the bottom that we're going to look at today. So where they would actually start is on this home page, and they would go into their career prep. And this particular patron that is wanting to do perhaps pursue the truck driver job in Duncan, South Carolina that we just looked at, they would be able to go in and look for in the career prep center here, they would be able to look for the commercial driver's license exams that are available there. We're going to go ahead and click those on for you to see. And I believe, let me see if I can just make this a wee bit smaller for you to see a little bit more. Notice the endorsement exam practice are here. The general knowledge exams are here. And there is actually an ebook practice there as well. And we're going to go ahead. I'm going to show you first the general knowledge exams that are here. And some of these are required for particular job descriptions. And I'm going to go back one more click here. It looks like whenever I went out and back in, notice it now says sign in register. So I will need to actually log in to my account again to have the full access as we mentioned before. So that'll just take me a moment here. And I'll jump back in. So when, if you'll recall, on that job description, it did mention different classes of driver's license required for the different types of transportation they would be, what they would be hauling or what they would be doing. Some of them said the hazmat would be required, etc. So that's something that you can show them here as well under the commercial driver's license for the endorsement exams practice that you see here. So one of them said the tank vehicles endorsement or the hazardous materials endorsement. Now that I'm logged back in, you see I can simply start one of the tests that are available here. And I want to point out to you something that can truly help you help your patrons, and that is when they've entered any of the practice career tests here, they're going to have a choice of 3 different test modes to practice with. And some of them like to do the learner view first. This one actually allows the test taker to view the answers to each question as they go along to help them study. And that's a great mode for them to kind of get started with. Some of your other patrons may want to just jump right in and take the practice test because maybe they're more familiar and they think maybe they don't really need a lot of the learning practice. Notice with the practice mode, the test, the timer will display, but it's not actually forcing them to stop at the end of the timer, but they're able to see their answer explanations after they've finished. And then finally, the timed simulation test is going to be like a real, let's go live and do this test as though you were taking it under real circumstances. So these are very useful modes for your patrons. So if we do a learner mode for this initial test here, notice they'll ask questions here. This is for the tank vehicles. Liquid surge is most dangerous when a vehicle, and they'll go through and select answers. Notice they have that option to check an answer. It will tell you whether or not it is correct or incorrect, and then it'll explain why. So again, this is a great mode for them to be able to brush up or to get familiar with what they're going to find on that test and to understand some of the key answers there. And they can continue to go in and check answers as they go along here and continue to use that mode. When stab braking, reapply the brakes right after. Whatever they might check here. Again, it will explain all of this for them. Notice they can go in, let's say they're practicing this test and then they need to go pick their child up from school, or they get a phone call and they need to stop. They can click on the Finish Later button that you see here at the top, and it will allow them to save what they are working on, or they can close without saving there. Once they complete a test, they can go ahead and score the test. So notice here now from my center, under tests that I've taken, it's listing all the tests that I've started and in progress and those that are completed. So all your patron would have to do is go back whenever they're at home or at their mobile device. They could go back in and log in to their account in LearningExpress Library and go to their My Center to be able to again go back and pick up that test where they left off. So if they want to go back into the test here, view the details, or just delete it off of their center, they can do that too. But they can go back into the test and sort of pick up where they left off in doing their training piece there. Again, they can do a complete test and go back and change the mode in which they were learning if they want to do it that way. The other feature that's very nice about LearningExpress Library in particular, just going to go back home to the home piece, is there are also, in addition to very specific career prep tests such as those for postal workers and I think that you might have seen some of those other ones here as we were looking, the cosmetology, culinary. Maybe some of your students at tech schools are wanting to pick up some of these exams. Nursing students or nursing, people that want to take some of the nursing or real estate exams are there. Wanted you to notice as well, in addition to that Career Prep Center, there is also the center at the bottom, the Computer Skills Center, which is very useful for those that are looking for more jobs that are more administrative help kinds of jobs. So if they are see in a job description that they're required to know Microsoft Excel, for instance, Microsoft Office products, if they are maybe perhaps in their job description they see that they need to know graphics, perhaps they're supposed to know how to use Photoshop or Illustrator. These are all tutorials that your patrons can use as well to help them sort of along the way to success at gaining a position they desire. So for instance, if you have a patron who does need to brush up on Excel, they can go into those test modes there, and you'll see in the tutorials it will list out how many courses are available. And it might be something very specific that they're looking for. Perhaps they need to know, how to use formulas in Excel, or how to use macros, etc., etc. It may be something very basic. And we can see as we click here that as they click on the titles, they're going to be able to get a video course introduction and the transcript. So if that helps them understand the videos better. Notice also, I really want to point this out to you as librarians, because you'll notice that the table of contents is at the top right of the videos. So if there is a particular section they're trying to perhaps brush up on that has been required within their job description, like understanding columns and rows or performing calculations, this person in this position will be required to be able to change formulas or create simple formulas using an Excel sheet. They can go directly into that particular one that could help them as well. And you can see that they actually walk them through, that video will actually walk them through the process for individual pieces. Or if they've never used Excel before and they just want that basic overview, they can also go back and utilize that as well. Notice there is also the closed captioning here. It's turned on at the moment, so they can see the words as they are being said. And again, the transcript is available for those who might want to use that as well. So those are going to be more for the tutorials for some of your patrons who might be able to brush up on some of their skills in that way. The other piece that I want to show you, we've actually gone directly into centers. At this point, we've gone into Career Prep Center and into Computer Skills Center, but you might have a patron who's just interested in any of the resources that are available in LearningExpress Library for those commercial drivers, for instance. And you can see in this case, across the top, there are 3 tests, and there is an ebook as well that can help them to prep for the commercial driver's license. Notice there are also others. There are computer courses related. Flashcards I've seen particularly related to nursing career exams. But you can actually uncheck the test and just pull up the ebook here. That patron is able to download the ebook as a PDF file. And you will see that along your left here, at the bottom left, where that user may open up that PDF file, and then they would be able to download it to the device that they're using. So if they want to utilize this ebook along with their prep for the career prep piece with the actual career exam, they can do that as well. They'll see the table of contents here. Again, if they were only required to study for a particular test, perhaps the transport endorsement we were talking about, or the hazardous materials there. They can go in and go directly to those pages. But you can see this is something that's sometimes more helpful to the patron who is just more familiar with more of a print kind of study guide. They can certainly use that as well. So that's going to be found and accessible. Yet again, you will remember we had mentioned that anything that patron opens up or utilizes is going to be found in their My Center again, so they can easily get back to that ebook. You see here the commercial driver's license test prep ebook here. They can view any of those ebooks that they've recently opened, so they don't even have to go back and locate it again within their My Center. So you can see here I've used quite a variety of books. The Post to Work exam book there, the commercial driver's license ebook there. And if we go back to My Center, you'll also see some of those tutorials that I opened up within the computer courses. So again, they can easily get back to wherever they've started with it there. There may be some of those patrons who see that a GED is required in order to apply for a position. That's going to also be found if they go back into the High School Equivalency Center. So again, those practice exams are available there both in Spanish and English. So you can tour a lot of these other preps as well that could be useful to your patron. So I'm going to look as the last piece here, I'm going to go back to My Center and notice this Download My Center link. This is where they can actually download the scores from their test, any ebooks that they've used, and they can actually save this to an Excel file. Notice it comes down as a CSV file in this bottom left-hand corner, as you see. And when they open it up, they can actually go in and save that as an Excel file. So you'll notice that here they can actually go in and expand these cells so that they can see their scores, etc. And I'm going to move once again, move our little window here for you to see it better. Notice though, when they do go in to save it, they will need to save it as an Excel file in order to pull it up in that software at home. But notice we have here these tests at the top. We also have ASVAB and other tests that I've used in My Center. But you can see here, as we scroll down, these are the tutorials they've completed and the ebooks that have been used. So that's another handy file. That is also very helpful if they have used the different modes to practice their test in. For instance, it might be that they want to kind of see their progress. How much better are their scores improving as they practice? So that's something that you can do there. Again, if they were going to actually do File and Save As, they would need to locate where they're going to save it and go ahead and change this type to an Excel file. I do like to point that out because that's how they're going to be able to open it in that software at home. So I'm going to just go back here. I'm going to go ahead and click out of that Excel piece and then get back down to our list here. So you can see overall in using Discus how your patron can actually utilize both the career transitions database and the LearningExpress library to be able to go to that next step of preparing themselves for the jobs and the job interviews. There are other pieces in career transition. Again, other training sessions will cover these, but they can also assess career interests. They can browse the career paths here. If they do take the career interest assessment, this will actually crosswalk them to likely careers that they might be interested in. Notice there's also the match experience to new careers. This is great if you have veterans who are maybe returning to stateside job and they're looking to connect some of their military experience to a civil job. Let me just do communications here as an example. If this is something that they've already done in the military and they want to kind of see what jobs are available here, what types of positions would then link them to similar work duties. And that's also useful under work experience for, some of the people now who maybe have been laid off due to our economy and the situation and want to kind of link some of their skills to typical jobs that they may be able to transition to. So that's the quick overview today. I appreciate that you coming to look at some of the options of what you can do to help your patrons along the way. I will go ahead and go back down to that last slide here for you to see our contact information one more time. If there are additional questions that you have and you would like to contact us, you are welcome to do that. And you will also find that you will have a worksheet that is available to you, and that is going to be found on our online resource page. Let me see if I can actually go back live to that and show you from our Discus page the training section here under our training resources. This is where you're actually going to find that. It will be posted here under the training resource page for you to actually practice some of your skills. Thank you for joining us today.